The Chicago Bears 2021 schedule has been leaked, and we are going to break it down here on the show. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. If for some reason one of these games is off, we'll update it in the future, but we are very, very confident that the full 17-game schedule is out and accurate. So here we go. We're going to break it down for you guys in fast speed at first, and then we will break down games more specifically here in a moment. Week 1 at the Rams, Sunday Night Football. Week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals at home. Week 3 at Cleveland, and then Week 4 against the Detroit Lions. Week 5 through 9 at the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 5. That's going to be fun against Green Bay in Week 6. Will Aaron Rodgers be there? The Buccaneers on the road in Week 7. San Francisco comes to town in Week 8, and then the Bears go to Pittsburgh for a little Monday Night Football in Week 9. The Bears have a Week 10 bye this year. Week 11, they come home to face Baltimore. They are back in action on Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions before facing the Cardinals in Week 13. And then here's your final stretch, Week 14 through 19. Remember, 17-game slate this year, 18-week schedule. At Green Bay, Sunday Night Football, Week 14. Against the Minnesota Vikings at home on Monday Night Football. At Seattle in Week 16. At home against the Giants in Week 17. And then at Minnesota in Week 18 to wrap up the season. The Bears, based on strength of schedule, third toughest schedule in the National Football League this year. So predict the record for me. Remember, it's a 17-game season, so don't say 8-8. You can say 9-8 or 7-10 or whatever. Predict the Bears' 17-game record for this season. We'll do a video in the future on game-by-game predictions, but go ahead and get your way early predictions in right now. So we'll break this down into further detail here. Obviously, the first 4 games at the Rams, Cincinnati at home. That's a very winnable game, obviously. At Cleveland in Week 3, so 2 tough road games early. Then come back home against Detroit. So you look at this, okay, you're hoping for at least 2-2, right? You beat Cincinnati, you beat Detroit. We'll take a little bit further of a look at right off the bat, right? The Sunday Night Football game at the Los Angeles Rams. That game will be 8:20 kickoff time on September 12th in Week 1. The Bears keep saying Justin Fields will not start the season as the starting quarterback. The NFL seems to be challenging the Bears here. Are you going to play primetime Andy Dalton in Week 1? We'll have to wait and see, but that's how the Rams open up against the LA Rams. A road one would be huge, but if not, got to take care of business in Weeks 2 and in Week 4 against Cincinnati and Detroit. Subscribe to Chicago Bears Now, because this is what we do. When we get news, we talk about it here on the show. The latest Bears news, rumors, live shows, and a whole lot more on tap for you guys on a daily basis. Hit that subscribe button. Spread the word. You're not going to be caught up to date on more Chicago Bears information than you will be right here on this channel. You see the link down below. It's youtube.com/Bears Now. Share that link with a friend and spread the word, because we're growing like crazy here on YouTube. Let's go weeks 5 through 8 now at Las Vegas. That is going to be a fun game in week 5. When you kind of break down these schedules, you're like, all right, which games can you take on the road? A game in Las Vegas, that's a winnable game. Green Bay at home in week 6. If Rodgers isn't there, that's a game you would like to win, I think. At Tampa Bay in Week 7, that's going to be a tough matchup. We'll talk about this one a little bit more here. Obviously, the Bears, if you remember, beat the Super Bowl champs this past season. Nick Foles, that was definitely his best win as the Bears starting quarterback, and for the second year in a row, they will face Tampa Bay. This time it'll be on the road, whereas last year it was at Soldier Field. So Week 7 against Tampa Bay on Sunday, October 24th. Maybe Justin Fields is the starting quarterback by that point. Week 8 against the San Francisco 49ers at home, so that's a tough 2-game stretch. You go to Tampa, you come home against San Francisco, and then at Pittsburgh for Monday Night Football. Kind of like the Raiders game on the road. I view that Pittsburgh game as winnable for Chicago. Road games, you gotta find spots where you can steal games on the road. We'll see if they can win a couple of those matchups. So what do you think? We've shown all the games. We're continuing to break them down in detail here. What is the best game on the schedule for Chicago this year? The Vegas one's going to be fun in Week 5. I might be going to Vegas for that game with Mitchell Renz. We'll have to wait and see. Let us know, what do you guys think the best game on the schedule is for Chicago? And if you want to go make some money betting on or against the Bears, there's only one place to do it. It's Bet Rivers. Go to chatsports.com/BetIL for you Illinois folks, or chatsports.com/BetIN. got to be within state lines of either Illinois or Indiana, hence the two different links to actually place a bet. But you can sign up and deposit from anywhere in the U.S., and once you step foot in those states, you can bet on Chicago Bears games. You can bet on the over-under win totals for this year. Right now, the over-under wins 7.5. I think that's good value to bet the over there, especially if Aaron Rodgers does end up getting traded. So go put your money where your mouth is. They'll give you a 100% deposit match up to $250. Chatsports.com/betin or chatsports.com/betil, depending on if you're in Indiana or in Illinois. Take a look at the second half of the schedule. I love the bye week being in week 10. That's kind of right at the midpoint there. I think that's good for Chicago, and it gives them more time for a tough opponent against the Baltimore Ravens in week 11 coming out of the bye week. I like that for Chicago because that'll be one of your tougher home games. And again, when you're breaking down a schedule, you're saying, all right, you want to win most of your home games and find a way to steal some road games. That's kind of your path to the playoffs if you are looking at the 17-game schedule here. Lamar Jackson, another year for him in Baltimore. They've added some receivers, so that'll be a fun game at Soldier Field in Week 11. Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson could be a fun matchup if Fields is starting by then. Week 12 at the Lions. The Bears have owned Detroit in recent years. They're rebuilding. That's a game on the road, again, that you need to take that game. You need to sweep Detroit if you are Chicago on Thanksgiving. Get a little early victory. That'll be the early game on Thanksgiving, and then have some turkey after. It's a win-win situation. And then Arizona in Week 13 at home. Again, winnable game at home. Got to take care of business and defend your home turf. Will the Bears make the NFL playoffs this upcoming year? They've made it in 2 out of 3 years under head coach Matt Nagy. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think they're a wild card contending type of team. A lot of factors at play in the NFC North with Aaron Rodgers, also with Justin Fields. When will he take over? Should be a fun year. Type Y for yes or type N for no. And then it's the stretch run, and this is often the stretch that either makes or breaks teams in terms of making the playoffs. Week 14 at Green Bay, Sunday Night Football. Hey, you knew one of the Packers games was going to be in prime time. Will Rodgers be there? Will it be Jordan Love? Will it be someone else? We'll have to wait and see. Week 15 against the Minnesota Vikings. Again, prime time, 2 weeks in a row. That one at home. You got to defend your home turf, especially in big-time matchups. So against Minnesota in Week 15, especially if that Packers game probably going to be pretty tough. Got to come home, beat Minnesota in that matchup. But then you go to Seattle Week 16. That's why Week 15 is even huge. Winning up there in Seattle going to be tough. Giants at home, got to take care of business there. Then again, you finish with Minnesota. So 2 of your final 4 games against the Minnesota Vikings. Can you sweep them? Going to be tough. You at least, if you look at the division, you want to go 4-2. Sweep Detroit. Split with Green Bay and Minnesota, go 4-2. I think that's definitely a possibility for the Chicago Bears type of team this year. So we will wait and see. Ending up in a divisional opponent, as always, against the Minnesota Vikings this year. Last year it was the Packers. This year the Vikings. So who's going to win the NFC North in 2021? Type CHI for the Bears. Type GB for the Packers. DET for Detroit. MIN for the Minnesota Vikings. Get your votes in on this one. Who is going to win the NFC North in 2021? If Aaron Rodgers isn't in Green Bay, I think it's wide open. If he's still there, I think the Packers have to be the favorite, but I'm excited to see what the Bears can do this year. So we'll run through the schedule one more time just to remind you folks the entire schedule, and then we will log off here on Chicago Bears. Now, Week 1 at the Rams. Primetime Dalton probably in Week 1. That'll be interesting. Week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Week 3 at the Cleveland Browns before coming home to play the lowly Detroit Lions. Weeks 5 through 9 at Las Vegas. Can't wait for that one. Week 6 against the Packers. Week 7 against the defending champs and Tom Brady on the road. And then the 49ers come to town in Week 8 before a Monday night tilt with the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 9. Love the bye week in Week 10. Big fan of that before facing the Baltimore Ravens in Week 11. The Detroit Lions are on the road. Detroit always plays at home on Thanksgiving. Very winnable game there before Cliff Kingsbury and Arizona come to Chicago in Week 13. And then the final stretch run, Green Bay, Minnesota. One on the road, one at home, both in prime time. Those are going to be big games. At Seattle in Week 16, the Giants in Week 17, who the Bears obviously traded with to get Justin Fields before finishing on the road against the Minnesota Vikings in Week 18.